we are going to be working on Chapter 5, Hard, New Game, Plus. No major glitches. There is a save load that you can access in Chapter 5. I will show you kind of where it is. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. I'd honestly suggest not worrying about it. But what you want to do is kind of line Cloud up here. There's a much better video by Foxy that explains this and shows it. But what we're going to try and do is, as Cloud would pass this part of the window, gets his head right past the white center, we want to go for a save load on that very last window next to Tifa. If we do this right, we can save a little bit of time. One of the things you want to do is keep count. And then, yep, too late. So, there's no pain, there's no hurt going for it. Just try and keep full speed, and if you can, get Cloud as he passes that window pane. It will skip this about 15, I believe, no, 20-ish seconds of dialogue. It will skip. I wouldn't worry about it. Just YOLO for it, if you really want to. It could make your splits very, very frustrating if you easily get tilted by plus minus. So you could just opt to not go for it at all. It's frame perfect from what we understand. It's so tight, it's really hard to get. So if you do get that save load, you're going to always be down around 20-ish seconds. Especially on PC, it's worse because the load time is removed. On console, it's a little more risky because of the save load. Since it has such a tight timing, there's a decent chance you'll screw it up. I don't know where my ice went, but I guess it went somewhere. Could you just die? Okay. So this fight's right here. You can kind of do whatever you want. You have plenty of time to kill everything. You just got to make sure everything dies before they get through the door, which we got pretty close to missing. We absolutely missed it. That's pretty funny. So for these segments, you're going to want to do a thing that is called parry sailing. I also call it parry uppercutting. The trick here is holding down triangle while you parry will give you a parry that is always being canceled out by Tifa. The way you can also do this is by hitting the two at the same time, which I have a big enough finger for, so that's all a alternative method. You need to hold guard and smash, parry with the dodge roll button. But you could kind of see there, it looked kind of herky-jerky. That's because I wasn't mashing the right rhythm. You're looking for a very specific rhythm, and once you see the rhythm, once I get into it, you're going to have to kind of find it for yourself. For me, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not necessarily a 4-part rhythm, but that's just the way I kind of I bob and weave with it. Do whatever it takes to kind of get you to feel that rhythm, so that you can get optimal parry sailing or parry fleeing. This won't work if you have opted to upgrade your weapon with the concentration bonus. I would highly suggest removing it for consistency purposes and allowing yourself to get some much needed additional speed in this segment. This can save quite a lot of time. Parry itself is something that's very important on Tifa. It not only augments her movement very to an explosive degree, but it also will, you see kind of like how she was standing up, but towards the end there, she started being able to lay down. This segment right here, we're going to do a little save load. There's no actual save load here that saves time, but I want to show you this a few different times. What you're trying to do is get all the way to the end of the tracks and up the stairs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to ignore the camera here and try and do that every time. Now, this is next to impossible unless you do the uppercut parrying. I'll show you what will happen in this area if you don't use the uppercuts and just use normal parries. If you're going to use normal parries, you're going to need to adjust the camera. I keep switching to the wrong character because my brain is... But you can kind of see, the major... You do not want to be on this side of the tracks. Absolutely not. So you could use those vents up there as kind of a cue to get you in the right angle for this. But you kind of see, like, you end up out here on the tracks. You get a very long put away. That's just the difference. Like, that was still, I think, like a 5-second long flee. Your flee timer can vary. But this parrying method is so fast that it can take a 3-second timer and get you somewhere that you would have had to be, you would have had to have the parry timer 7 seconds, which isn't even possible. You can get very far out ahead with this. See, kind of like, the only funny part is going to be this right here. So just keep in mind that that parry uppercutting might be worth cutting Omni Strike. It does do a lot of damage, but you can just as easily mash X to get into the menu and do Unbridled Strength, kind of like this. So we switch over to Tifa. See? Now I got Omni Strike and it doesn't matter. So we're fine. It's very easy to get access to Omni Strike as long as you have the ATB for it. You do have to burn the ATB, but when your option is this movement right here that is so fast, you can actually, like, soft lock in a few different spots or join fights together the devs never intended to. So this fight right here, you can use Blizzard Magnify or Blizzard Magnify. Alternatively, I will be going into Thunder later. We stick with Ice for these first few fights because of the Garage Strike Queen is weak to Ice, so it'll make our lives a lot easier. But you can just as easily switch to Lightning earlier. The reason you might want to switch to Lightning earlier rather than later is because Ice, it can pretty notoriously interact with the floor and give me what's called, what I'll call floor ice. It interacts with the floor and shuts off its damage hitbox. Hey, Foxy. Yeah, parry sailing is just beautiful. I'll see if I can fish it out for you so you can kind of get an idea what it looks like. The ice will look like it hits, but you'll notice that there's no pressure on the enemy. So let's see if we can... Nope, that one actually worked properly. I'm actually going to do this on purpose a few times to see if I can fish it out. There it is, right there.
Going in.
Oh, no, it wasn't. Wow, I'm actually surprised. If you're paying attention, just check the enemies. If you see the pressure pop up on them, that means the ice hit properly. If you don't see pressure, or you see them, like, just move out of it, you know you're in a bad spot. This fight right here is pretty nice, when you know what to do. So you kind of come up here. I build a little bit of bar on this guy while I'm waiting for the queen to drop down. I Blizzard, Magnify, Star Shower, and then I just start spamming Blizzard Magnify twice to take out the rest of the cross strikes. So this fight's pretty consistent with this method. The only thing that'll be kind of variable is your ATB that you get off of this guy, but you see kind of how he's falling down. That's why you're bothering to build the ATB. And what's happening here is I keep getting ATB stagger activated, so my ATB keeps refilling itself. So I'll show that fight off one more time, a little bit slower. If you're going to do this with menus, you can kind of do this a little bit differently. So you just want to make sure to get this finisher, just to make sure that guy's on the ground. Blizzard, the queen, and then if you're going to do menus, you might as well just say Somersault Queen, and then Blizzard. The Blizzards themselves should clear out the regular Garage Strikes. Actually, no. If you're going to use menus, you can have access to the limit as long as you have Goddard Dummerung on Tifa, which you should have Goddard Dummerung on her if you're using it in the Chapter 4 Whispers fight. That fight's very obnoxious, and you're going to want the limit to kill them, so you will always have that right here. So your better option is to build a little bit of bar here, and then once you see the Gosh Strike Queen falling, you can just do it this way. Somersault into the Queen. Blizzard Magnify missed. Might miss those two. But you kind of see the difference here. Like, you need a little bit of extra damage. You would... I haven't used the Somersault in quite a while. I guess I misgauged the damage quite a bit. So we can Blizzard, and then you can just as easily... nope, not Barrett. I want Tifa. throw the somersault and then just Blizzard twice, and that should be enough, actually. There you go. If you want to use the limit, that's why I use Star Shower, because I just have to cast an extra Blizzard to take care of the fight. Kind of here and there. There will be a menu coming up, depending on how you want to do your route. If you're on PC, this is worth doing. If you're on PS5, it's kind of a meh thing. But if you want to do a really optimal menu, wait till they start talking here, open the menu, do all your menuing, and then save load after. So that way, you take advantage of a save load that saves a couple of seconds, and you're combining it with the menu so that it offsets losing time. This isn't like some grand, super top-tier, thing. So we want to put Goddardummerung on Barrett. And then the rest of this is going to be toggling Cloud over to Lightning. And I'm going to take my refocus off. You can put whatever you want here. HP up, MP up, Deadly Dodge for better movement. I go with MP up because in Chapter 7, sometimes I accidentally cast Thundaga. So that'll mean I get an extra 4 MP out of every Shinra crate I break. So it makes it much easier to fix messed up MP. Because right now we're going to be relying on MP Absorb and Lightning Magnify to get through here. And then we're also going to change Cloud over to Thunder Up, Thunder Mag, Thundaga, and Thundaga Magnify. If you have MP Absorb and a magnified spell, go all in on it usually. At the very most, you'll lose little bits of MP at each cast. If you want to do MP up only and don't want to do Absorb and do, like, Lightning Elemental or something, that's fine too. Just realize you're going to have to spend more time grabbing Shinra crates to recover your MP, and you're going to need to memorize those locations. I will show you a few of them as I go by, but actually let's do the save load so we can skip this little cutscene. And then now we've got saved a little bit of time here from that save load instead of listening to that whole cutscene. I find that Catastrophe can be very good here. So we just want to Catastrophe that guy. We'll ATB boost. There's actually crates back there. They're right here that have MP in them. But the camera in this room is really weird. So I find doing this movement with Cloud is a little bit easier. You can very easily come over here with Tifa, but sometimes the lock-on in that room, the camera just shirks erratically, like 180, 360 degrees. It's very disoriented. It makes that room very hard to do with Tifa, just because of its oddness and like it just does it sometimes. So this is another crate right here, if you're looking for that. So like I said, you can get through all the way up to Chapter 7 without MP Absorb. The only reason you would need MP Absorb is for Chapter 4, because I cut MP up for Skill Master and ATB Boost. So I favor a heavy ATB-oriented route rather than MP management. It ends up being easier anyway, because then I really don't have to grab the crates in that fight in Chapter 4. It's just a helpful thing to have those. So this next fight up here, you can do a couple of different ways. I'm going to show you the easiest way. ATB boost, parry sail to the end. Yes, you can ATB boost with Cloud. I'll show that off. I do find that sometimes that room is very obnoxious, but it does work. And I'll try and show that off right now. Catastrophe is a freebie, but it's not something you need. So we'll just ATB boost here and parry sail with Tifa, and then we're just gonna Thunder. It can be a little bit disorienting, but we should be. There's a. Sometimes Cloud's a little bit. So Thunder and Magnify is what you would need there for the Flame Trooper. Thunder Magnify works for everything else. Thunder and Magnify is what you need to take care of this Flame Trooper. I forgot about that. But that's kind of what that room would look like if you wanted to parry sail with Tifa. It is obviously going to save you time, but if you end up spending a bunch of time trying to fix your ATB, you're going to lose it all very quickly. So, like, once again, MP crate right here. And I make sure to always keep somebody stocked up with healing materia. I find it works great for Tifa because her magic damage is usually meh. Barrett's damage, his magic damage is unfortunately like garbage. He's an afterthought in every strat that we do, quite unfortunately. But because of the fact that Tifa is more of a fighter than she is anything else, she ends up having quite a few materia slots open. And important materia like parry always should live on her, so it's always on the rightmost slot of her weapon. I'll show you. This is normally how I set Tifa up, is healing parry. I'll go over the materia right before the boss, since I failed to do so at the start. I would find that would be a more appropriate time, just in case. We'll do the boss a few times, even though I already have a video specifically on him. So right here, we're going to just ATB boost, and we want to Thundera one of the turrets, and then we're going to Thundiga magnify the leftover turret. And that should take care of, well, if I remember to actually use the magnified. You can get up the stairs, but it gets kind of hard to tell what you're aiming at, so the easy way is to just do this. Thundera, Thundiga, and then you can kind of switch to Tifa, and True Strike if you want to get a Synergy Thunder out of Barrett. So that fight's, you can just stick to Cloud with that. You don't need to do all that fancy stuff. Some of these early segments, you can kind of take a little bit of movement de-optimization to make sure an enemy dies. Because in hard mode, the unfortunate truth is there's a few damage ranges, and you need to be mindful of those, because you can end up losing way more time. Let me redo this room after I get done explaining that. You can lose a lot more time to going after, to risking damage ranges and trying to recover ATB and killing the enemy efficiently. So make sure that whatever strat you decide to use, if it's not mine and it's somebody else's, test it a few times at the very least. Kill the enemies 3 or 4 times, 5 times. Make sure they die every time. And if they don't, either change the strategy or formulate a follow-up that will finish it off. Like, right now, Barrett doesn't have first strike. If for some reason one of those turrets survived, I could switch to him, overrun, bang, done. The turret will die. His overrun hits extremely hard, and it builds ATB. So if for whatever reason it still didn't kill, you could follow up with a Thunder. So this room here is very, very, very easy. It's just a matter of ATB boost, switch to Tifa, then you can just walk across the room while you wait for Cloud to kill everything.
And there you have it.
You could triple slash or Thundera magnify. It really is, it's up to you. For me, I just go Thunder because it's a little bit more consistent. There's also one more MP crate here. If you needed to recover and you don't have enough MP for healing, I'll show you on the map. This room over here, if you go back up to, what is it, section D, I believe? Hold on. Hold on, let me change the map up so I can show it the right way. So if you go back through this room here, yeah, here it is. This has a bench in it if you really need it. But I would get more comfortable with using your MP on a non-offensive character for casting healing spells. But that's the last MP crate. So we'll show off Crab Warden a little bit here. And if you guys have any questions, or you feel like it could be more well done, there's something specific that you want me to cover or recover, I can redo this later. But for right now, we'll go over the materia real quick, and then we'll do the boss. So, Chain Bangle kind of goes wherever. I usually leave it on Cloud, ups his survivability early game. I do take it off of him at some point because I do use self-destruct a lot. So I need to have the lower defense, and I usually give it to Tifa because she damage gates through a lot of stuff with double star showers. Double star showers have a really high interrupt defense, basically the same as a limit. So unless it kills her, it usually will not knock her out of star shower spams. So for Cloud, we have Stagger MP up. This is kind of like his mainstay that I had on him. This MP up can be negotiated into just about anything. You can leave it as a refocus for stats. You can go with a Skill Master permanently. The problem with that is the Skill Master, you'll have issues getting it into him later, unless you equip it on literally every weapon that he's going to be going through. And then not having that skill master floating around makes a lot more issues. I would suggest HP up or MP up here. If you really wanted, you could put like healing on, but you don't want your leader to have healing. It loses a lot of time. MP absorb, lightning, magnify lightning. This is kind of more the generally accepted route at this point. That early game magnify plus MP absorb will make your life a lot easier. You can still do magnify, lightning plus elemental whatever, elemental lightning if that's what you prefer, elemental fire, elemental ice, whichever, and give yourself some more options. But the simplicity of MP absorb, keeping your MP managed so that you don't need to bother grabbing crates unless you really fucked something up, is very helpful. Magic up. Obviously, he's the caster. You're going to want that. First strike, ATB boost. ATB boost is a really good backup mechanic, and even in some fights, it gives us free 2 ATB so that we can just spam 2 spells really quick and just nuke everything in our way. My stuff is far from optimal, but those are the things you should keep in mind. If it looks like I do the fight slow, mess with it. Try a new fight. Maybe you'll find something better than what I have. Barrett, the only thing that's really important on him is lightning synergy. This lightning is a holdover from something in Chapter 1, so you really don't have to worry about that. You kind of have these 2 open slots. The only reason Barrett has this missing slot is for MP up, because that did start as Elemental on Cloud, and I removed it so that his other weapons would keep Elemental equipped throughout the rest of the game to simplify menuing. It is a little weird to not have anything on your characters in hard mode, but you get used to it. I doubled down on luck up here because Barrett really doesn't cast that much, so his MP values are pretty negligible. You could put healing, cleansing, any sort of utility materia. You could put, like, binding on him, I guess, there as well. Give him a long-term binding and healing materia so he has it the entire game and you don't have to worry about it. I find that at a certain point I want to flex this into an MP up and a luck up. Luck up to hopefully get more crits so he can actually do some reasonable damage. And the MP up so that he has enough MP for the Whispers, Hojo's Lab, and what's the other chapter? Chapter 13, yes. He needs the MP for Chapter 13. Revival, I just leave it there. Usually you shouldn't need to activate this, but when you're first learning, Revival will be your friend. You want to keep one character with that. Skillmaster Stagger. This is a floating thing. He's not going to activate these all that much. Binding, like I said before, Binding is a good utility materia. We're going to want... Barrett doesn't do a ton of damage, so we do like him doing Berserk when we can. These first 3 bosses, Scorpion, Crab, and Airbuster are all machines, so they cannot be Berserked. But once we get past them, we start getting into a lot more enemies that can be Berserked, and that will drastically increase the damage, so kind of having a Berserk floating around can be very helpful. HP up, you're going to want this on Tifa. First Strike, Lightning, and Elemental. Like, this whole setup is really strong for these chapters. Parry, you're going to want to keep the whole time. Healing, you don't have to have it, but I would suggest it. Elemental Lightning, you're going to want for all the first chapters. She punches a lot. Like, she doesn't do anything but punch things, so this is really helpful. I also have her on Feathered Gloves instead of Metal Knuckles. Some people do have her on Mithril Knuckles for this early part, but I find Feathered Gloves gives a better spread. It does enough magic damage, and it has high enough physical that she can one-shot most things with it. The HP up is so that we can Star Shower into stuff and not die. First Strike, self-explanatory. It's one of the best materia in the game. Refocus, we need this for Airbuster, so this doesn't have to be here right now. You can add this in later. Time, this is a holdover from an earlier time. Haha, very funny. In the route where we used to use haste, sleep, and stop on some places. You can keep it. You can cut this and put something else in, binding maybe, so that you don't have to worry about having that materia anymore. This time will only really be relevant once we get to Chapter 17. There are a few bosses like Eligor you can stop. You could cast Team Haste on Airbuster as well. My strat does not require that, not even close. There are a few things you can stop that are problematic. Like Reno and Rude can be stopped or slept, so that's another one. So it's a utility just in case things go wrong. But you don't have to carry this with you. A lot of things that can be stopped can also be slept. You just need to output the damage fast enough. Assistant Skillmaster, these are extremely important. Skillmaster, not so much, but assist is extremely important. If you don't understand how it functions, 2 commands back-to-back will activate ATB assist. This is really powerful in the boss fights, so that we can give ATB to our other party members who are doing more damage. The AI is very bad about building its own ATB, and I'm pretty sure that it's actually nerfed when the AI is in control. So this is going to be the fastest way that we can distribute ATB to everybody else. Skillmaster and Stagger give 900 per activation. ATB Assist only gives 600. Seems like that's not really that good, but you will be surprised how fast 600 will fix bad ATB, to the point where bosses can get roasted very, very quickly. I have Steel Pincers on Barrett to up his catastrophe damage, also because it has decent magic stats. Part of the reason why I'm not worried about his MP is I'm actually activating the 20% bonus at max MP on Barrett with Steel Pincers. It offsets that difference, for the most part, between Steel Pincers and EKG Cannon. You kind of see that there's a large 25-ish point difference, 30-point difference between these two in magic. It is fairly large, but the 20% bonus is enough to offset it in most cases, that it's not a problem. Plus, with the luck ups, if you throw out a crit, you can be in a pretty good spot. So I think that kind of explains everything. I'll show you my shortcuts. Like I said, I switched Cloud over to Thunder Magnify, Thunder Magnify, Thundaga Magnify. You can put those in any order as efficient for you, but if you kind of notice that my other characters are have Thundaga and Thunderai in the same position, so I try and keep those linear across, that the same tiered spell is on the same tiered characters, so that you're not thinking, oh, I need to cast Thunderai with Barrett. What button was that again? You can be like, no, I'm spamming Thunderai with Tifa. That's on triangle. Just toggle to the next menu and get it down. So we'll do Crab Warden here real quick, but it's not going to be the main focus of the video. So we're just going to go in here. I want to switch to Cloud right off the bat. And that should set me up so that the leg is the first thing targeted. We'll Thundaga the leg, get back here, and these rear legs are weak to physical. So we're just going to True Strike it a couple times and get a couple of uppercuts in here for ATB. Uppercut the back, and that'll get the stagger. And then we want Unbridled Strength. Then we can kind of come over here, Omni Strike, uppercut, cancel the uppercut as soon as it hits, and just punch. Now we're going to Thunder that rear leg. Barrett will follow up with a Thunder Synergy, which hopefully will apply enough to stagger Crab Warden. Sometimes it isn't, but it will help. So we're going to Thunder here, and then Thundaga. Okay, I messed it up, but we're going to Thundaga the front left leg with Cloud. So the Thunder did work there, and that's what you're aiming for, is an instant stagger. Then True Strike, switch over to Barrett after he starts the Thunder Synergy. If you do switch to him before the Thunder Synergy, you can just overrun into the generator. It just takes a little bit longer. Next phase here, we're going to Catastrophe the munition units, which will trigger the same type of weird glitchy stagger that the main body gets off of the legs. I'm going to Thunder Magnify the unit just to speed things up a little bit. True Strike Thunder and an uppercut to finish it off, and there you go. I do have a slower boss tutorial video that goes over this several times, but that's more or less how that boss goes. I know it just... This is on YouTube. Take advantage of slow playback. If you have to put something at quarter speed and mute me, that's fine. If you need to slow me down and it feels like I'm talking too fast, let me know, and I can re-record these videos with a script and a little bit more thoughtfulness, less pressured, if that's an issue. But there you go. Here's the setup. I'll show you the equipment one more time, even though I just got done going over it. Aerith's equipment also doesn't matter. I have her on reinforced so that I can steal materia off of her and have it not affect her setup when I add her to the party. I have her true setup on Mithril Rod, which is kind of screwed up because of the way my saves are. Don't worry about that. That would normally have a lightning on it. But it's the same thing with Tifa. I have her set up for early game, and then I switch her to Metal Knuckles late game, so that I don't have to worry about, like, any of the materia, so I can steal this stuff off of them as I go. Barrett has quite a few different setups. This is actually for the lab at the end of the game. And Cloud, I use all of his weapons, except for Twin Stinger in this one. It looks weird, but trust me, it's set up properly. So that's that for Chapter 5. So I hope this helped. If you do have any issues, please comment. Let me know what I can do to fix it or improve the video. And I'll see you guys later. Hopefully this is good for you. Peace.